I want you to think about many of the times that something in your life has gone awry. It just didn't play out in the way that you wanted to. But then as you look into the whys, you come back thinking, well, there's a reason, there's a rationale for why things don't happen very well. Let's suppose something at work didn't go well, and then you find out that you had several people out sick, and as a result, they were on a skeletal crew, and that explains why things may not have gone as smoothly as you otherwise might prefer. Or maybe you were on a phone call with a friend or family member, and that person just seemed a bit out of it, and then you find out they were fighting a severe cold, and it looks like it might be the flu, things like that. And so there are times when things go in ways that you don't prefer, but there can be some rational, natural explanations for the things that you don't particularly care for. Now, every one of us has those kind of situations where it's like, oh, okay, well, now that I know that, then I can proceed. Then we have the narcissist. Let's keep in mind that narcissists are high control people. They don't really think very much about you and your feelings except for what you're supposed to do for them. They're low empathizers. They're manipulators. They tend to exploit. That's part of the defining feature of this character trait. And they don't just give rational explanations. They are master rationalizers, and I think you can understand perhaps the nuance between those. Rationalization, as we're using it in the context here today, is its own form of manipulation, and basically it means that that person is trying to sidestep responsibility for some things that go wrong and put the responsibility anywhere except upon right here, their own shoulders. It's like, nope, I'm not shouldering responsibilities, and let me explain to you why. So I want you to think about some of the common scenarios that you have with that narcissistic individual, realizing that because that person has such a difficult manner of relating, you don't get along well with them. And then I want you to be aware of 6 primary or very common rationalizations they use to sidestep responsibility for the relationship. The more you're aware of these kinds of things, then the less inclined you're going to be to get pulled into their snares. And then we're going to talk about how you can respond as you're able to see these rationalizations. Now, one of the first ways that narcissists rationalize some of the strain and difficulty with you is they'll say to themselves, and maybe even out loud, there are few people on this planet equal to me. They honestly believe that. And furthermore, then they're going to say, and it's certain that you're not one of them. Part of narcissism is they can have a very high and lofty and not necessarily accurate feeling of being enamored with oneself. Narcissists really need to be special. They need to feel unique. And so they honestly think, well, the reason I don't get along with as many people as you might well say, there's hardly anyone out there that's my equal. That's the problem. And that's a hard rationalization. Or a second rationalization that's extremely common. And that is, let's suppose that there's a need for 2 people to come to terms with some things that have gone wrong, and you realize they don't apologize for anything on their side of the equation. Their rationalization is, I don't need to apologize for my thoughts or my feelings or my actions because my ways are the best. And they honestly have this lofty notion about who they are, and rarely in their minds do they believe that they make mistakes. And if something goes wrong, it's not my mistake, according to them, but it's your ineptitude that created the thing that went wrong. This very lofty and inaccurate portrayal of oneself as being the best is part of their rationalization. It's part of their false self. They can't allow themselves to be human like the rest of the people out there. A third rationalization that narcissists will very quickly go to, and that is, I see you as an unenlightened person. Therefore, you're going to need guidelines, and I'm the one who gets to write the guidelines. And so if there's a strain or a difficulty between you and them, it's because you didn't get the memo, or you haven't read the memo correctly, or you're not on the agenda written by, well, me, the narcissist. And so there's this honest sense that says, I really am a pretty enlightened kind of person. I just wish that you could figure that out and fall in line. They're very agenda driven. Now, you may be thinking as you're engaging with this person, as things tend to go in a difficult way, man, this person's so critical. They're so impossible to deal with. Well, a fourth rationalization then that speaks into that is the narcissist will say, well, what you call criticism of me is merely an indication of your stupidity. I'm just trying to say some things that are helpful. And if you think that I'm saying things or acting in ways that you call criticism, it just shows how dumb you are. If you'll just keep your big mouth shut and drop all your notions and listen to me, I'm trying to make you feel better about life and do better in life. But, you just keep falling back into this version of inadequacy that you live into day in and day out. That's how they think. It's very condescending because they have such a need to stay superior. Or a fifth rationalization that narcissists often hold on to. And that is they'll say, your problem is you're just not a grateful person. Look at me. Look at how much I have to offer you. And if we're having a problem, it's because of your lack of gratitude. You need to learn how to say thanks to me for being so brilliant. And that's honestly how they think. And you may be thinking, I'm not very thankful for this. And they'll say, yeah, I know. That's part of your problem. And then how about a sixth rationalization that narcissists can hold on to? And that is they'll honestly say, I know that I'm very capable of having good relationships. My problem that I have is your ineptitude. Now, of course, they overlook the fact that they set up all sorts of things in the process to make a relationship with the narcissist impossible. They speak over you, or they are not cooperative, and they're grouchy and critical, and or maybe unavailable. And then they say, our relationship isn't going very well. It must be because you're inept. But that's how they think. See, let's keep in mind that a defining feature of narcissism is the construction of a false narrative. They have an alternate reality. And they somewhere along the way, they determined me showing myself to be human, me considering myself to be equal to someone else, that is not going to get me anywhere good, and I am not about to buy into that notion at all. So all of these rationalizations that I'm mentioning are their way of trying to maintain a false superiority. So as you're dealing with this, let's see if we can understand some mindset that you can hold on to that's going to keep you from getting pulled deeper and deeper into the strain and tension that naturally is going to perpetuate. First and foremost, let's just recognize you're not going to be able to reason with an unreasonable person. These rationalizations that I'm talking about, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out you're not making any sense. And there's a lot of psychopathology that's behind all of that. Come on, let's talk this thing out and let's get to the bottom of it. And in their tight alternate reality, it's like, I don't even know what you're talking about. They honestly believe that their yes means yes, and anything short of that just means if you don't agree, then there's something wrong with you. You will constantly get pushback if you try to reason with them and talk them out of their rationalizations. That's a guarantee. And then in addition to that, let's also say, though, knowing that they are not going to be a very reasonable person, it doesn't mean that you just have to lay down and take whatever garbage they throw at you. You can still have assertiveness. You can still say, well, I know that's how you think. Nonetheless, this is where I'm going to go, or these are the decisions I make, or this is the stipulation that I'm standing upon. And if they want to shake their head, or if they want to gripe or complain or try to make you miserable, it's simply evidence of where they are in their own personal pathology. You can still determine to hold firm. You may just need to do so without their agreement or concurrence. and just know that it's going to be a job that's based on your sense of resolve rather than having a sense of consensus between you and that person. And then something else I want you to hold on to. There may be times when a narcissist may be cooperative with you. There may be moments of agreement that they will have, but then they come back later on and say, I'm a really agreeable person. Can't you see that? And so that's kind of their way of saying, see, that proves how mature I am. You know what? Maturity is shown in the midst of disagreements. That's when you know someone has maturity. And so when they say, yeah, there are times I'm a very agreeable person, well, I can be agreeable with anybody when things are going exactly the way I want. But when you can see that there's strain or difficulty or adjustments that need to be made, that's when you know what you're dealing with. And the narcissist is going to go straight back to their rationalization. So drop your shock. Rather than saying, I can't believe that these people are this way, or are you kidding me, or can't we do something differently? The answer is, well, these people really can't. They've constructed such a need for this false front that this is going to be the way they are. So you have to decide what your better alternative is going to be. And frankly, your better alternative is going to be grounded in one primary word, and that's the word separation. Now, I know that many times people conclude, and I understand so, that they need to separate off physically and say, I just can't do this relationship at all. Sometimes that's not possible, but you still can separate your emotional stability and you can separate your plans off and live according to your own independence and freedom and self-respect, and let that be your guiding mantra that you're going to go with. Now, the narcissist is going to rationalize and say, you know what, you're just never going to be like me. And you know what my reaction to that is going to be? You got that right. I hope that you gain some good from videos such as this. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey. If you've not yet hit the subscribe button, it's right below us, and I invite you to hit that so that we can keep you apprised of more videos that come along. We have a new website, www.survivingnarcissism.tv, and on there you can sign up for our email list, and we'll have bonus videos and articles, and we have all sorts of things on the website there that I would encourage you to just kind of click through and see if you can learn some more things. If you have need for online counseling, I know that there are some of you that have a need to have somebody that can help unravel some of these rationalizations with these individuals. Well, we have a link below with a group that can help you out with that. We have my online workshops and my books and coffee mugs. So avail yourself as the need is there. Just know that I want the best for you. I want you to live with your calm steadiness. And if a narcissist comes along and says, well, I don't agree with you, then I'm hoping that as that happens, you can just say, I'm very aware of that. I'm quite comfortable with me being me. That's the best recourse that you can hold on to.